So I felt like this episode was really nice. It was lighthearted. It was a really nice way to close out Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, there are a few things that I do want to talk about. A little bit about the whole Shamea and Porsha situation. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I feel like I've already talked about it a lot this season. And your girl is tired of talking about it. But I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I want to say a little bit about the whole Charles situation. And I'm going to talk about the advice that Andy gave Shamia. Also, with a little sprinkle of some information about Drew, Dennis, and Porsha's storyline. So please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. And now let's get into it. Hey, lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Now let's talk about it. First of all, I would give this episode an 8. And I think the reason I would give it an 8 is because I feel like it ended on a great note. I was excited watching it. It was fun to watch. It didn't feel like rah. It just felt like a nice little episode to watch. And I feel like episode 1, part 1 and part 2 were a bit heavy. And so it was nice for it to end with part 3 being less heavy, more positive, and then it leaves like a great taste in our mouth for the new season of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, I feel like I want to say something really quickly about Shamea. Hey girl, what I will say to Shamea is I feel like don't wait for Andy to ask if there is an apology that you need to give before you apologize. You need to take more of a proactive step rather than a reactive step. I feel like Shamea would have been able to salvage this season and not had the reunion that she had if she took more of a proactive step towards squashing the whole Porsha and Shamea issues. Instead of going on all of these shows talking about her bestie, right? So it was very much such a reactive step instead of like calling up your girl and saying, I'm so sorry. I feel like I got caught up, blah, blah, blah. Apologize and take ownership. I feel like the fact that she didn't take ownership made it very difficult. And the fact that we watched part 2, and it felt like she wasn't taking ownership at all. She kept diverting and then blaming the other women for bringing it back. It's like, girl, you said it. Whether or not we brought it back, you said it. Can we focus on what you said rather than the point that it was brought back? And so I definitely think that that is something she needs to work on. And next time, don't wait for Andy to ask you if there needs to be an apology for you to apologize. Because if you had done that since, it would not have dragged out the way it dragged into part 3. I just thought it didn't look good for Shamea to have to wait for the question about whether or not there needs to be an apology from Andy. She should have just, learn from the way Porsha handled Drew. That's why we got this really fun banter between Porsha and Drew. She took ownership real quickly before it even got left. That's what Shamea should have done with the whole situation. And I hope she learns from this and really takes accountability and moves forward. Now, did you also that Shamea did not deny kissing Candy? So maybe there's some truth to that. That is all I'm gonna say on that one. I feel like in this episode, it was so obvious that Porsha was over it with Shamea. And I can genuinely see that Shamea is hurt because of the grievances and the resentment she has held and bottled up against her friend for so long. And then she was working against her friend in the so-called alliance, which did not work well for her at all. I honestly feel like Porsha is hurt as well. And I can understand how that feels because it's like you think you and your bestie are going to be having a fun season. And then she piles up on you by talking to everybody about you whilst you're going through what you're going through. And it's like everybody interviews, she gave you no grace. And so to then find out that there was an alliance to take you down as well, it's very, very hurtful. And I don't blame Porsha for not wanting to hear it. And I know people are like, oh, Porsha does not want to hear it when it comes to Shamea. But the truth is, would you want to hear it? If you picked up the phone, called somebody to check, okay, are we good? Is everything all right? And they don't tell you anything and make it seem like you're good, only to then find out they showed your text messages. They were talking to every single person on the cast about you. How would you feel? And even when it was time to take accountability, she then tried to make it seem like you were talking about her to Brit, when that was not the case. Instead, what happened was Brit came with the receipts to Porsha. And Porsha still gave her friend grace and said nothing. So I feel like, hate or like Porsha, you can understand how she must have been hurt by that situation. And I think it's one of those things where I feel like Andy gave Shamea really good advice. He was like, you need to, if you're upset about something, have a conversation. You can see how this has turned out. And that's the thing, in the demise of Porsha and Shamea's relationship this season, I blame Shamea. Because if Shamea had had those conversations, there is nothing wrong in you being hurt about something your friend did, hurt about how your friend moved. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. But the difference is you have a conversation with your friend. You get the courage, even if you're like non-confrontational, pick up yourself and have the conversation. And if you don't want to have the conversation, then don't be having the conversation around her back to people that don't like her and saying all of these things. And I felt like, even for instance, Andy clarified, Porsha has always rooted for Shamea to become a peach holder. My thing is, why didn't Shamea say in that moment, I'm so sorry. I really genuinely thought that you did not want me to have a peach. That could have been it. That could have been the end of it. And I know some of you all think I hate Shamea, but I don't hate Shamea. I actually like all of the girls on the cast. Well, Kelly annoys me. But I'll just say everyone brings something, right? Kelly is annoying. We'll discuss that later. But I feel like everyone brings something to the show. However, one thing I would always do is call out how I feel about people's actions. When it comes to Shamea girl, you need to stand up. You need a backbone. You need to get it together. And I had a best friend once who was non-confrontational. Now we're not best friends anymore. She was very non-confrontational like Shamea. Very, very non-confrontational. And what would happen is she would be hurt about certain things, but she wouldn't express those things to me, right? And a lot of those things were her feeling like she wanted more of my time. She needed me a little bit more. And that is fine. You are allowed to want more of your friend. However, I guess the question is, do you give that same energy to your friend? No, but that is a side point. So what this person ended up doing was they would go to same thing Shamea did and talk to our mutual friends, other people about it. And then I'm thinking me and Bestie are good. We'll be on the phone talking, casual, thinking everything is good. Next thing, I'm getting a call from a mutual friend saying, oh, wow, are you guys okay? And I'm like, what is going on? And then this person's telling me, oh, she was really hurt, really upset, feeling like this. And I'm like, girl, I spoke to her like 5 minutes ago. We were good. So I don't know what this is about. And then I pick up the phone and I call this girl and I'm like, hello, like, what's up? Is everything okay? Like, are we good? And then she's like, yeah, babes, we're good. I love you so much. And I'm like, girl, what is going on? And so when I then bring up like what other people are saying, she then like tries to blame other people and say like, why would they bring that to you? And they're lying. So very similar to what Shamea does, right? And the thing is, it's very frustrating having a relationship with somebody like that, because if you do something to offend them, you don't even know what you've done and you don't know how to fix it, right? And for me, I don't mind my friends being needy or feeling like, girl, I see you 5 times. I want to see you 7 times. I had a friend once tell me she needs to see me every week, and I made that happen. But one thing I hate is somebody going and talking to everybody but me about said situation. And then when I then call you, not in an angry confrontational way, I'm just like, hey girl, are we good? Like, is everything all right? And then you still then don't tell me, you still lie to me and make it seem like we're good. That's a problem. And so those are some of the things that just made the relationship bad. And so there are so many parallels with the whole Shamea thing, including sabotaging, right? So for instance, it was like, then like when it comes to like special events for me, then she is acting a certain way or like very passive aggressive comments. And I'm just thinking like, what is going on? And so it has such huge parallels to the whole Shamea thing. And that is why I'm hard on Shamea, because I feel like, Shamea, girl, stand up, speak the truth, communicate how you are feeling so that people can fix it. Because genuinely, you guys can have a good relationship if you just communicate. Not saying Porsha is perfect. Porsha has her things. I feel like Porsha can be self-absorbed and she may not know when things are going on with you. So you need to be more vocal if that's the kind of friend that you want to be friends with. The one thing that would never help a relationship is not communicating. If you don't communicate, you're not going to have an improved relationship. It's just not going to happen. So what I want for Shamea is, if she's coming next season, I need her, be honest. If something hurt you, speak to your friend about it. Don't go on interviews talking about your friend, dogging your friend out. Don't join alliances to talk about your friend. That's some crazy, nasty work. So I really hope that she can get therapy, talk about it, get to the root of those issues and fix it. Now, moving on to more fun stuff. I really enjoyed the banter between Drew and Porsha. They were giving it to each other. It was light shade here and there, but it was fun. It was rich. And that is the sort of experience that I would like to experience when I'm watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. And so I hope that the new season is more of that. I hope that Drew and Porsha can team up and be the new besties. And I want to see that like banter between them a lot more, because they definitely bounce off each other really well. Even when she was asking questions about, did Ralph bring someone into the basement? It was like really cute. I was like, all right, I see the chemistry between you guys. I love that Porsha was facilitating the story, bringing it, trying to get a little bit extra in. They definitely have good chemistry, and I want to see more of that next season. And I hope that Real Housewives of Atlanta bring back Drew, and of course they're bringing back Porsha with that heck of a reunion. And I think bring back Porsha and Drew, and I think that they are going to eat the next season. Porsha and Drew need to be besties duo next season. It's going to be so fun to watch. I'm ready for the new season of Real Housewives of Atlanta. I can't believe it, because a lot happened, and I know people were talking about the whole Kenya more. Is Kenya coming back? Kenya ain't coming back, honey. Kenya is not coming back. I'm not surprised that she's not coming back. Let's be honest. Bravo has never really seen it for Kenya, especially since she married Mark Daly and then brought him on the show later on, and they weren't involved in it. I feel like they've hated her ever since. This is just my speculation. And then to find out that they could get sued because of this whole Bravo, this whole crazy corn incident. Of course, they are going to not bring her back. And let's be clear, the season went well. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst season either. It was better than the season that Marlo was in as a peach holder. I would say that. I enjoyed this more. There was more conversations. It was more fun to watch than that previous season. So I'm not surprised. I don't know how you guys feel about Kenya not coming back. I do think they have a good team of girlies. I know there is some speculation as to whether or not K. Michelle will be joining. If K. Michelle joins, it'll be interesting to see the dynamic. I also heard allegedly that Pinky Cole may be joining. I don't know Pinky. I don't know what the vibe would be, but I guess we're going to find out if she does join. Now, I do want to mention something really quickly about the whole Dennis, Porsha, and Drew storyline. Did you guys notice that Dennis did not speak to Porsha beforehand about working with Drew? I knew it, because I was looking at the season and the way it was playing out. It was given she was blindsided. And I know, yes, it wasn't Porsha's best season, but at the same time, it's clear that Dennis did not tell her. And so Dennis kept dancing around it. I'm like, oh, you did not tell her. And then Dennis said he felt like, well, he spoke to Ralph and it should have been Drew's job to speak to her friend. And he is right. Drew should have taken a more proactive role of speaking to her friend about it versus expecting Dennis to speak to Porsha about it. So I will say that. I just wanted to add that in there. And I was absolutely tickled when Charles said to Shamea, "You did not meet me. I was there." I was like, Charles is direct. Charles ain't playing with nobody over here. But I think that's just how Charles is. Like, and I do think he has a point. People need to stop saying, "I know this person." Same thing as Phaedra. Phaedra made it seem like she knew him. Now, she knew of him. But to say you know him is a bit extreme. And I think that's the thing that I feel like people need to be very careful when you say, "Oh, I know this person. I know this person." Do you really? Or have you met them at a couple of events? Do you know this person, or do you know of this person? But I do accept that. I think some people use it when they have met you in a few places. They feel like they know you, or when they follow you on socials, they feel like they know you. And interestingly enough, also, I don't know if you guys saw the clip or the video of Shamea apologizing to the cast members. My thing is, what are you apologizing for exactly? I don't like when people give a vague apology and then the background song was just like crazy to me. It was given a movie, like, you know, when someone is like, "Oh, and I'm so sorry." Like, it was so dramatized. And I was like, girl, please stop with this apology. If you're going to apologize to your castmates, then say what you're apologizing for. That's it. That's all. Now, I will say Porsha at the end did say she loves Shamea, and she's just going to put a pin in it. And I think that's exactly what you should do, because I think the trust is broken, right? That doesn't mean trust can't be rebuilt, but is broken. For you to show my text messages, you have breached my privacy, right? And so I think that they may eventually get into a space of cordiality, but I don't necessarily think that it will ever go back to what it was. I think they may be able to move forward. Things may be better, but I don't think it can ever go back to what it was. Because yeah. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because maybe if Shamea does the work on herself and is able to acknowledge when she is wrong, and is able to open up about how she's feeling, and Porsha does some work on herself to be less dismissive, listen more, and not take everything as a personal attack, then I hope that maybe they can eventually get it together. But it is wishful thinking, especially thinking about the fact that Porsha is probably always going to remember that there was an alliance to take her down. And so I don't know how you trust anybody else after finding out that they were in an alliance to take you down. And then she then says that you were also in the alliance, only to then later say that she was trying to bring you into the alliance. So it's like so many roads and so many lines have been crossed. What I would hope for them this season is, if they could go, let's see a therapy session of both of them. That could be fun. Think about it. You see a therapy session where Porsha says how she's feeling, how she's hurt, how she felt betrayed. And then Shamea, on the other hand, talks about how she's been feeling, how she has been hurt. And then hopefully a therapist can help them resolve it. Even if they are never going to be friends, they can at least resolve it and live in peace and coexist in the group, right? Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, hit that subscribe button, and tap the bell button right next to it so you know every single time that I post. I'll see you guys in the chat. Thank you. Bye.